Hey folks, Pepper Princess. Nothing quite like kicking a poor person down when they're already poor. Let's get to it. All right, so I wanted to talk to you guys today about some of the current news that's going on. So it looks like utilities are about to increase 25% in some areas of the country. Now, right now, people are at home because of the shutdowns. Because they're at home more often, their energy is increasing by 15% anyway. However, there are certain areas of the country where they will be increasing utility costs by 25%. I have seen places in Arizona, Nevada, Florida, and Georgia. I don't know about everywhere else, but a 25% increase while people are already not only living paycheck to paycheck, they're living unemployment check to unemployment check with no job on the horizon, no savings. Credit cards are getting maxed out at this point. They're in the food lines at food distribution centers, looking for their free food because they can no longer afford their monthly food bill. Millions of Americans have gone into forbearance on their rent and mortgages. That is going to end. It cannot last forever, and we cannot make it so that landlords have to pay the price for their renters who are not able to afford the bills. Landlords are not just some rich people who live in a fancy building in the penthouse in Manhattan. These are not your typical landlords. Your typical landlords have 9-to-5 jobs and they use a rental income property for additional income. Now, if a tenant is not paying their rent, like so many millions of Americans are not doing right now, then that landlord has to pick up the slack for you. So that's less money out of the renter's pocket and more money out of the landlord's pocket. Now, as you know, almost 80% of Americans, which is 78%, live paycheck to paycheck, and that includes the landlords as well. So me personally, I am on the landlord side in this point, but not when it comes to the 25% utility increases. I'll go ahead and leave the links in the description, but when you're middle class, upper middle class, or higher income earning class, a 25% increase in utilities is not really going to break the budget. But when it comes to areas that require air conditioning, such as here in Arizona and in places that are extremely, I want to say muggy, they have high humidity areas that require air conditioning in order to not just to be comfortable, but pretty much to survive. This is going to be a really, really hard hit to the lower income class, which is really, really bad, especially since times are already hard enough as it is. Hold on one second here. Yeah, here it is. Regulators prepare plans for Florida energy bills to rise. And they're reducing conservation measures. One thing that I did notice is I got a local here in Arizona, I got a local publication from some sort of company that's trying to extend broadband to the area. And they were asking us to fill out these forms, which I did not fill out because I don't want my personal information out there for everyone to see. But they were asking what your utility bill and kilowatt usage was per month. And I thought that was really weird, considering that they were just expanding broadband. What does our electric have to do with internet? I don't understand that. But here it is. Significant impact on customer electricity bills in the future. One to set rules for charging customers billions to bury power lines, and another to wipe out energy conservation incentives that utilities say are unneeded. I don't know. What's funny is that when you put conservation measures into effect, it diminishes the requirement for not increasing, but for upgrading. Like they're talking about burying the power lines, that would be considered an upgrade. And if you conserve, you don't need to do that. So they're taking away the conservation measures so that they are required to bury the power lines, which costs the consumer's money. Because of course a company is not going to be fiscally conservative and save those funds for burying the power lines. They're going to extend the cost onto their customers. And of course, it's never a temporary cost. It's always, oh, we're increasing your costs so that we can bury the power lines. But you know, you only have to bury a power line once. You don't have to do it every month. So it's always funny how those costs increase to the customers, but it's really only for one job. Same thing that was happening in California, or happens in California. They're like, we're just gonna charge you to cross the bridge to pay for the bridge. And then you pay for the bridge 10 times over, and they're like, oh, it's for maintenance of the bridge. And then, you know, the bridge collapses, and we're like, what happened to that maintenance we've been paying for? Going across the bridge, and they're like, oh, well, yeah, that we're gonna have to increase the price to go across the bridge to pay for the repair that we already charged you for. You know, we are on, oh gosh, I don't even want to I don't know if I want to get into it, but it seems like we are on the brink of complete and utter tyranny in our government. And I'm sure no, I'm not even gonna say it. Tyranny in our government. Look up the amendments of the Constitution. That's all I got to say about that. But, you know, everyone wants their slice of the pie, and I understand that, but you can't morally pass the cost of something that you should have already been prepared for on to your customers, and then tell them not to conserve. Like getting rid of conservation measures. So if you're living in a house and you don't really know how to conserve, and then they have somebody come out and teach you, and they do weatherization and give you like a low flow shower head, and they put a blanket around your water heater because you didn't know about that. And now they're stopping these conservation measures. That makes no sense. So we're gonna increase your bill 25%, but we're not gonna teach you how to decrease your consumption 25%. We just want your money. So just give us your money, keep consuming. In fact, buy less energy efficient products, and we'll be happy because we can charge you more, and we can make more money off of you poor people who are already at the bottom end of the line. We're going to price you out. That's what we're going to do. We're going to cut off your utilities. Speaking of getting utilities cut off, so millions of Americans are unable to pay their utility bills, and their utilities are getting cut off. So if you are in a position where you think that you might not be able to pay for utilities in the future, that's something that us preppers think about. That's why we typically have solar and solar generators, backup things, you know, not only for when the grid goes down, but for the time in your life when you literally may have absolutely no money to pay the utility bill. Not everywhere in the country are they going to keep your utilities on if you don't pay the bill. I know that there are certain places in the Midwest where they are required by law to keep the gas on whether you pay the bill or not, so that you don't freeze to death in the winter. But that's not everywhere. That's not everywhere. And as a prepper, we always have a backup plan. So if you can't pay your utilities, do you have a camp stove and propane bottles in order to cook your food? Do you have a sun oven, all-American sun oven used so that you can, you know, bake food? Do you have a small solar generator like a Jackery, or do you have the Kodiak, or sorry, now it's the Flex 1500, to obtain backup power to watch television, keep your internet going, your modem running, keep your computer going when you don't have the ability to pay the bills? Is that something that you've thought ahead about? Is that something, are you afraid that your utilities might get shut off? Are you afraid of a 25% utility increase? 25% is a huge amount. You know, if you're paying a $200 bill, it's now going to be $250. If you're paying $100, it's going to be $125. It's going to be a lot more than you are accustomed to. So what I would recommend doing at this point, you can go to, go on the internet, go ahead and Google how to reduce my electricity costs. It's going to show you a lot of different things that you can do. I also have videos, I'll go ahead and link them at the end of this video, which shows how to reduce your electricity bill using surge protectors, LED bulbs, using high efficiency appliances, which is really a big one. It doesn't mean that you should go out and replace all of your inefficient appliances. It just means that when you are in the market to replace your appliances, then you should definitely go with an energy efficient one. And there's a ton of other things you can do. Turn down your water heater, set your air conditioners or heaters on a timer. Programmable thermostats are a big thing. So this is something that I would recommend. Just go ahead and Google on how to reduce your energy consumption so that you can be more prepared for when the big boom in the cost of energy comes along. And don't forget to continue saving your money if you are getting an extra stimulus check. Don't forget to, just don't spend any money on anything that's not necessary right now, because we really do not know what is coming along the horizon in terms of our economy. And I wish everyone the best. I hope that it is not the economic collapse that I have personally been preparing for. I do not want it to happen. I was prepared for it, but believe me when I say, if you are a true prepper and you have any compassion or any empathy for the rest of humanity, you do not want this to happen. And I see where things are going, and it's frightening what can be coming down the pike. Do what you can with what you've got. Prepper Princess out.